Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the GAA Postcast, and this time it is in fact a scorching welcome as we are basking in glorious sunshine here on Capel Street in the city centre of Dublin. We are all sweating like Michael Ryan was at half-time in Semple Stadium last Sunday. The heat would kill you. Your host for the next half an hour or so is me, David Jennings, and we are joined by our first choice starting lineup, Kilkenny legend Aidan Fogarty in part 1 for all the hurling chat, and former Meath attacking ace Joe Sheridan will be with us in part 2, and of course Paddy Ahern from our sponsors Paddy Power will be with us for the whole duration of the show. Now, before we start dissecting this weekend's hurling action, just a very quick chat about last weekend and a Tipperary team, Aidan, that produced so much quality in the second half to resurrect their championship. What can we expect now from Tipperary? Is the second half going to reignite their season?
Well, possibly, yeah. Look, we spoke about it before. Their potential is unbelievable. The panel of players that they have and the scoring power that they have is up there with the top teams. Obviously very poor in the first half, and whatever said for the second half, Michael Ryan obviously said something to him, made a few changes, and they came out as a totally different team in the second half. And a thing like that can actually ignite a team. It's a vital point picked up. It's going to keep them in the championship, and possibly going forward, it could actually kickstart their season because they know now actually what they have to bring to it and the potential they have going forward.
And Paddy Ahern, do punters think that Tipperary's season has been kick-started? Any money for Tipperary in the All-Ireland betting in the last couple of days?
Not a whole lot in the last couple of days. They're still our biggest loser in the book. I think that was a lot of that was kind of during the league because when they turn it on, they look like they kind of look like the best team in the country. The movers more so. Galway moved a lot from last weekend. Clearly, that was an absolutely awesome performance in Pearse Stadium. So, from the start of the season, when we would have been kind of 5-2, 9-4, and you weren't sure, might there just be a little bit of a hangover from last year's All Ireland? There's absolutely no sign of that. They're clear 13-8 favourites, and the only other real mover in the market is Waterford. Have just fallen off a cliff, which I assume we're going to touch on later on. But they would have been 15-2. At the start, 2 weeks ago, even last week, I think they were kind of 9-1. We're looking to take them on. They're now 33-1. It's just punters and ourselves. We just think it's going downhill rapidly, and it's misfortune, a lot of it, but it looks really, really hard for them to kind of grasp anything from this season. Yeah.
Wow, and just give us a quick rundown on the prices for the 2018 All-Ireland Hurling Championship.
Yeah, Galway are clear favourites at 13-8. Cork are second favourites at 9-2. Tipperary 11-2. Kilkenny at 6-1. Limerick 7-1. Clare 11-1. Wexford 12s, and you've really just Waterford and Dublin after that.
Right, lads, I'm going to open my wallet. I have two crisp €50 notes here, and give them one to each of you. This actually isn't happening, but just pretend for the purpose of the show. €50 each in one word. Aidan Fogarty, where's your €50 going? One word. I don't even want to know why. I just want to know where it's going.
Well, first of all, David,
one word. Where's it going?
Galway.
Paddy Ahern?
Galway.
Okay, there we go. There's €100 wasted. Okay, moving on to Saturday's action. It is Innovate Wexford Park on Saturday evening at 5 p.m. live on Sky Sports. It's Wexford v the two lads' idea of the Liam McCarthy Cup winner. Galway, Paddy Ahern, some prices and handicaps, please.
Yeah, Galway are 2-5. The draw is 10-1, and Wexford are 5-2 at the minute. It is a 3-point handicap. It's Galway 10-11. The handicap draw is 11-1, and Wexford are even money.
Now, Aidan Fogarty, now you can tell me why you were putting that money on Galway. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, look, it probably starts with last weekend. I think beating Kilkenny in Salt Hill was a serious monkey off their back. They struggled with Kilkenny over the years, even though they've been All-Ireland champions. In that All-Ireland, there was chances there for Waterford to actually take on Galway and put them to the sword at times, but I feel that last weekend playing Kilkenny, beating them very comprehensively, is really a monkey off the back. And they seem like a more relaxed team. They're actually playing better than they were last year. They're more cohesive. Their forwards are playing better. up the middle, they're so strong. You have McInerney, Dahi Burke, Joe Cannon, Cooney then full forward, and they're so physically strong, but so physically fast as well, and well able to play to each other as well. So going to Wexford Park, it's going to be difficult, no doubt about it. I think Davy, after last year's Leinster final, is going to be gunning for Galway. But I just feel that Galway, on the physical terms, are going to be too strong for him. However, going to Wexford with the sweeper system, Galway haven't played against the sweeper system this year as such, and I know Davy Fitz is going to have a plan for Galway. They're going to probably man-mark Joe Cannon. They're going to have Sean Murphy as a sweeper, probably cleaning up at the back. But they tried that in the Leinster final last year. But to do that in Croke Park is so hard because there's so much space. So I just feel in Wexford Park it's going to be a lot more tighter, and they'll get so far, but I think Galway will just run out winners by 4 or 5 pints in the end.
Paddy, I heard this Sean Murphy fella, he was born with a brush in his hand, was he? He is the perfect type of sweeper for this Wexford team, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, he plays kind of as a halfback for his club, and I think it kind of does suit him. He reads the game very well. The one thing I would say is, like, Galway really it debunked a lot of it last year in that Leinster final, and as Taggy said, space has a lot to do with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Davy is bringing this pitch in about 50 metres on each side just to kind of try and limit that space, because Galway were, it's arguable that was their best performance last year. Like, every kind of ball was just bypassing Sean Murphy into that into kind of Conor Cooney's axis, where he'd just kind of go left or right. They left him in acres of space, and what did he return last year? I think it was 7-8 points from play. It was an awesome performance, and it just kind of shows that the last year Galway could play it either way. They can kind of go 15 on 15 against Tip in a shootout, but they're also very effective just because of the ball runners they have in the forward line. You kind of saw that last weekend as well, that all 6 of them are well able to win their own ball, even with a sweeper there. The backs that they have, the likes of Aidan Hart, they're just very, very clever with their distribution. So I wouldn't really worry too much about Galway playing a sweeper. Then the other side of the field, like last week for Galway against Kilkenny, like that was the best defensive performance I've seen in hurling, and probably since that Kilkenny team of the 2000s. And I think this Galway team are kind of basing a lot of the way they play on that team. Like, for a man, we'll say 2 to 7 were absolutely dominant. They were brilliant last week. The one question you may have had, and I don't even think anyone had a question, but if you were kind of talking about Dahi Burke, wondering was he the best fullback in the country, you were kind of saying, well, if you throw Walter Walsh on top of him and make it really, really physical kind of a task, how is he going to get on? But he was immense last week. Like, he was absolutely brilliant, and I think he's just copper-fast in the way that he is the best fullback in the country. I don't think there's a full forward in the country that's going to trouble him this year.
Mm-hmm. And Wexford, like, there's a lot of people, I know in the Sunday game afterwards there was people waxing lyrical about Wexford, Aidan. Like, are we right to be talking about Wexford as All-Ireland contenders?
No, I don't feel for All-Ireland contenders, no. I think they're a very good side. I still think they're lacking in physicality, and I still think they're lacking in the defence as well. Like, if you come like a forward line against Galway, which they are on Saturday, they're going to be truly, truly tested. And in the confines of Croke Park, like, they were totally found out last year in the Leinster final. I found that they went for this high intensity, quick game, sweeper systems, and for a defensive team, they're actually very attacking minded. Like, they have the likes of Liam Ryan making it up the field, the likes of Diarmuid O'Keefe from wing back making it up the field. But over a 74 minute game, they are going to tire, and especially in the confines of Croke Park, it's so, especially this time of year, it's so warm, it's so hot, like, it can get in on you, your tongue is hanging out after 10 minutes. So yeah, grand, maybe in Nolan Park, in Cusack Park, and these places, they'll fly around for 70 minutes, but they're going to be found out, I think, at semi-final and final stage. And I still think they're lacking one or two in the backs, and I think they're lacking kind of real kind of leaders to actually kind of drive it through to actually win something really, really decent. And to be fair to Davy Fitz, he probably needs to put some silverware on the board for Wexford. I think they were actually gunning for the league final this year and came up short. So now they're going to be aiming for a Leinster final, and I don't know. I think they might. It's probably come down to Kilkenny and Wexford really on next weekend, whether they're going to be in a Leinster final or not. So they're a good team.
So the answer is no.
The
answer is a firm no from Aidan Fogarty. Wexford are not All-Ireland contenders.
I think at 11 to 1 or 12 to 1, as Paddy said, I think is fair.
Okay, and you are a very brave man, because this is Davy Fitzgerald's favourite show. He listens to it twice or three times before the match at the weekend. So expect a phone call from Davy Fitz in the next half an hour or so. Right, lads, it's time to sum up this match. Paddy, can I have your best bet on the coupon? Well, first of all, who do you think is going to win, and then maybe your best bet on the coupon?
Yeah, I just think Galway are too good. Like, Wexford are going to be mad up for it. In fairness to Davy, I think he's only lost one game in Wexford Park since he took over. That was the league semi-final this year. So Wexford are going to be, there's no doubt they'll be up for the game. I just think Galway aren't a great matchup for them. I think Galway are going to win by a couple of points. Okay, and the best bet on the coupon? Yeah, I think Conor Whelan is really kind of... he's motoring well the first couple of games. He seems to me like a fella who's mad to score goals, so I think he's going to score the first goal. I think Dahi Burke man of the match, though. I think it's going to suit him again. Like, he'd probably be on Conor McDonald, and he's just playing too well to discard. Is this like you just pressing a button and every time it's Dahi Burke for man of the match and Conor Whelan first goal scorer? No, I don't know. I don't think I've tipped Whelan too much. Probably Dahi Burke man of the match, because why wouldn't you tip him? Jesus, he's probably the best hurler in the country. You're going to marry that man. You're going to dump the missus. The wedding is not going to go ahead, and you're going to marry Dahi Burke. Aidan Fogarty, your best bet on the coupon, and maybe a man of the match prediction, and a first goal scorer prediction as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a newcomer. I'm going to go for Brian Concannon. If he starts, he's taken off the last day, but I think he's very lively. Even in the last game there, he was direct. He was making solo runs. He was heading for goal. So I'm going to go for the new guy for first goal, Brian Concannon. I'm going to go for Pádraig Mannion for man of the match. I thought he was excellent last week. To be fair, all of the Galway defence was excellent, but I think Pádraig Mannion wing back is a good bet for man of the match. And as we were saying, Paddy just touched on it there. I think Wexford are going to come out of the blocks all guns blazing. It's in Innovate Park. It's going to be a tight field. I think maybe Galway might struggle to get to grips with Wexford and their intensity maybe and the sweeper system. So I'd say maybe Wexford be leading at half time, but Galway to run out eventual winners. Aidan, you stole me bet. You're reading my notes. Wexford to lead at half time 15-8 with Paddy Power. I think that's a cracking bet. Paddy Hearn, do you agree? Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I think they will put in a big first half performance. If they can stop Galway scoring a goal in the first half, it's definitely a runner, yeah. And then if you're really, really greedy, you could go maybe Wexford to lead at half time and Galway to win the match. That's one that I like. What price is that, Paddy? Yeah, you can back 4-1 for that, and you can definitely see the game going somewhere like that, yeah. Absolutely. So plenty to choose from there in Wexford v Galway, 5 o'clock Saturday, Sky Sports. Moving on, 2 hours later, moving down to Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it is Cork v Limerick. Two sides at the peak of their powers right now. Paddy, some prices and handicaps. Yeah, Cork are 8-11. The draws 9-1. Limerick are 7-5. Cork -1 is 10-11. The handicap draws 10s, and Limerick +1 even money. Aidan Fogarty, I am surprised that Cork are not shorter. Am I wrong? I think he could be. Yeah, I think maybe the second half performance against Tipperary. It probably gave Limerick an insight of what to bring to Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Sunday. I think, Cork with momentum and, their game plan that they're going to bring to Páirc Uí Chaoimh, I don't know whether Limerick is going to be able to control it. Limerick are kind of more of a lethargic team. They're more direct. They're more kind of like a Kilkenny side, kind of puck the ball out and their own man kind of win it and kind of playing off the cuff a small bit. But Cork are just going to bring a whole new level of intensity, of pace. They're working through the lines. Their forwards are very, very good. Both sets of forwards are very good. Limerick's are as well. But, it's in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. I think Cork have a right chance here. Limerick, how good were Tipperary when they played them? Brutal. The answer to that is brutal. They were terrible. And Limerick struggled at times to get over them, drove a lot of wides. And that's been Limerick's downfall over the years. To tidy up the percentages, that they're kind of shooting for points, driving 18 wides a game there. You just can't be doing that at this level. Giving away soft frees. I think Seamus Hickey gave away 3 or 4 very, very soft frees and kept Tipperary in the game effectively. So they're going to have to tidy up on all them times. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. But I think just Cork will nudge it just on maybe their momentum. It's a big incentive there. If Cork win, they're probably in the Munster final. So it's in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well. So look, I tip Cork just slightly. Paddy Ahern, when you look at that Tipperary starting lineup against Cork, against Limerick, I know we thought Limerick were very good on the day and they look very professional, but maybe we did not see the real Tipperary. Maybe we were lulled into a false sense of security with Limerick. Yeah, possibly. Like, that Tip team was disgraceful, I thought, that day. I don't know where.
I don't know what he was like. It smacked me like, I don't know, was it arrogance or something like that? Like, he ended up bringing all these guys on, but at that stage, it was right in the melting pot at that stage. But like, whatever he tried that day, it just didn't work. The one thing that did impress me about Limerick that day was when he brought on the Cannons, when he brought on Bonner and these guys. That's when Limerick actually kicked into another gear. They have a very, very decent panel. So like, I would say like a lot of the kind of guys who would be 23, 24 in the Limerick panel wouldn't be out of place on their starting 15. Like, you wouldn't be able to say that about Tipperary when they played their full team, and you wouldn't be able to say that about Waterford or, you know, most of the other teams in the country, really. So I think they do have a strong panel. The one thing about this game I would kind of worry about is, and we'll see it more as, we'll say, the round robin develops, and we'll probably see it like in years to come, is how much playing each week is going to take out of teams. Like Cork they had a really, really tough test obviously last Sunday. They were like, Clare were in the game for a long time in Páirc Uí Chaoimh 2 weeks ago, so they've had two really tough games in the trot where Limerick had the week's rest. I'm just not so sure, like in the back of John Myler's head, if he looks at all these Waterford injuries, is he kind of thinking that there's a good chance we'll be able to get over Waterford the next day, and there's a good chance we'll still make a Munster final? He'll obviously want to win this game. I'm just kind of worried that with Cork there may be just a little bit of a hangover. Like, they're going to play the same team as they have played in the last two games. They're not bringing on a hell of an amount of subs in either game, so I think Limerick are going to target that a little bit more. I think they might just be a small bit fresher.
So who wins, Paddy? I
think Limerick are probably, it's going to be very tight, as Aidan said. It is going to be high scoring as well. Like, I wouldn't discount the draw, but at the prices, I think I'd back Limerick.
Okay, Limerick for Paddy Ahern. For you, Aidan Fogarty?
Yeah, as I said, I'm going to go with Cork. I suppose with Limerick probably seeing what they have to bring to beat Cork with the way Tipperary played in the second half. If they bring a physicality and if they bring a real toughness and hardness to the game, Limerick could slide it. But I just think Cork with momentum, and Limerick probably won't get to the grips of their fast game. So just shaded Cork.
Okay, so we have one on each side here, and I thought under 2.5 match goals at 9-5 with Paddy Power might be the bet here. And first goal scorer, man of the match selections, lads. Aidan, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Declan Hanlon for man of the match. I think he's a super centre back. He's playing very well at the minute. Their half back line in general is actually playing very, very well. And he's going to be on Conor Lahan, so it's going to be a big task for him, but I'm going to go for Declan Hanlon for man of the match. And first goal scorer, I'm going to go for Seamus Harnedy. He's one of the top forwards for Cork, great ball winner and a great striker of the ball. So Seamus Harnedy for first goal.
Lovely. Prices on them, please, Paddy, and then your own selections.
Yeah, Harnedy is 15-2 for the first goal, and Hannon for man of the match is 20-1.
Wow, I like a bit of that. He's playing well this year.
Yeah, he is definitely. Yeah, I'd be similar. Like, I think a lot of the game is going to be played around the middle of the field. So, like, we'll say with the way that Cork kind of play with the kind of short passing game, and Limerick are similar-ish. So I think Cian Lynch is going to be to the fore a lot for the man in the match. There was a danger that he could fall into kind of a highlight reel player where he's doing all these flicks and stuff like that, but he actually had a solid league and he's playing quite well. So I think Cian Lynch around 14-1 is a good bet for man in the match. I agree with Taggy as well. Seamus Harnedy for first goal. If they can isolate him full forward in with Hickey's been having awful problems all year. I don't even know if they're going to start him full back, but if they do, Cork are going to target that, and Harnedy at 15-2 would be my idea of a decent bet.
Oh, we like that when the two lads double up. But Seamus Harnedy for first goal scorer for Paddy Ahern and Aidan Fogarty. So moving on to Sunday at 4 o'clock, it is Tipperary against Waterford. And Lord holy God, imagine if you were told in January that Tipperary will be 1-10 with Paddy Power and Waterford will be 13-2 to win in 70 minutes. My God, Paddy Ahern, it's unbelievable what's happened to this Waterford team.
It's wild, yeah. It's the biggest, like, it's one of the biggest championship moves, we'll say, within a week. So obviously, like we had at the start of the year, we had kind of what was perceived at the time to be a big price on Dublin, or on Kilkenny to beat Dublin in Parnell Park. Actually, the way the game played out, it was probably closer to the original price than the price it went off. But this one, like, it would have been, we'll say, maybe a 2 or 3 point handicap even at the start of the championship, where you're kind of looking and you're thinking that Waterford have a decent, they have many injury problems, which they didn't, before the Clare game. I think it was only the week of the game it kind of came out about Austin Gleeson and and Pádraig Mahony, and then it just spiraled out of control for that. Like, this is 9-point handicap, 1-10 tip, 16s to draw, 13-2 Waterford, 9 points, 10-11 Waterford, plus 9 the evens, 11-1 the draw, and
the funny thing is, Paddy, is like, I think it'll be interesting to see what Aidan says, but there's only one side of that handicap I like, to be honest. That's the Tipperary side. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, when I was just looking at last year's All Ireland final team, and there's 9, possibly 10 that's going to be gone from Waterford. Conor Gleeson's going to come back in, but like, they're massive players as well. So like, even if you take the couple that are going to be out, Pádraig Mahony, Gleeson, Kevin Moran, Ty Burke, who's the best sweeper in the country, Noel Connors, who's their best man marker, like, you take them alone, and that's worth, if you're being generous to them, it's probably worth 6 points. And then you're adding the other couple of guys who are gone, like who started that day, Kieran Bennett, Shane Bennett, Morris. Shanahan, I don't think can play because it's a groin injury. Like, if he plays, he could be gone after 5 minutes. So Patrick Kernel will probably come on and take frees. Like, they're decimating the forwards, and they're also decimating in the backs. Their full back is gone as well. Like, so where the hell are they going to pick guys out at? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
Aidan Fogarty, this Waterford team, what have they been walking under ladders, breaking mirrors, leaving shoes on the table, seeing magpies every morning when they wake up? What? Like, this is an incredible hard luck story.
Yeah, look, it's incredible. It's after kind of blowing up in front of Derek McGrath's face, and not to his own doing.
Did this ever happen? Anything even close to this happen in a Kilkenny camp in the years that you were involved? Was there ever an injury crisis even remotely like this?
No, like the only injury crisis I can think of touching off the top of my head was for the All-Ireland with Henry Shefflin and Brian Hogan, our centre forward and centre back gone. Huge losses. And if you look, we just touched on it, like, there could be 9 players that played in the All-Ireland final last year not playing on Sunday. Like, it's crazy to even think about it. And like, Ty Burke is out with a collarbone, and Dara Fives is actually the new sweeper, and he's going to be out. He's going to miss most of the Munster Championship. So, as we said, their whole back line and how they play is totally thrown into disarray. Kevin Moran is out, which is a real leader for him because he got sent off. The Brennan brothers are unavailable. Mara Shannon Gray, Noel Connors, Austin Gleeson, Pádraig Mahony probably make it back, but we're not even sure. So team-wise, it's going to be a whole new, fresh team. And even before that, Waterford probably weren't going well. And this is the last thing that Derek McGrath needed. And they're coming up against a Tip team who are really in need of points and put in a really good second half performance. So they're going to be good. It's probably a great game for Tipperary, to be fair, coming up against Waterford, who are just totally depleted. And it's very hard to get a team together, with all these injuries. Like, I've seen with Kilkenny, like, even with the Henry and the Brian Hogan thing, if you take 1 or 2 big links out of your team, it's a huge factor, because these lads are leaders. They're going forward. They kind of they drag the young lads into the game as well, But now it's going to be a total different game for Derek McGrath, and I don't even know how he's going to set up. To be fair, so all arrows point to Tipperary win on this one.
And the fact of the matter is that Tipperary are going to win this game convincingly. And when we're looking at first goal scorer and man of the match markets, it narrows it down to 3 or 4 players. As I say, this is the type of game that you need to be having a man of the match bet. I'm backing one of the Tipperary forwards. There is value there. Well, I certainly think there is. I think Seamus Canlan 15-2 man of the match. You've got so many. Jason Ford 6-1. Paddy, I think this is a game where you could pack a couple, perhaps, for man of the match, Jason Ford and Seamus Canlan. Is that a good strategy?
Yeah, it probably is. It depends on how, like, Waterford are just, all they're going to try to do is keep the score down, but like, that's the thing. Like, yeah, if you could possibly kind of divvy out your stakes and back a few of them. Like, the likes of Bubbles are going to come into the reckoning. Like, that's the other thing, that there is Noel McGrath is going to be there as well. So there is going to be 5 or 6 of them who could kind of come with absolute massive performances. But that is where I'd be focusing my effort on, definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
but as I always say in this situation, it might be a 30 runner field, but you can narrow it down to 4 or 5. So you're basically getting great prices about a 4 or 5 runner field. And on that note, who would your selections be for man of the match and first goal scorer?
Yeah, I'd probably go for John McGrath again, just at the level he's hurling. Like, he just doesn't miss. He was brilliant the whole way through the game. Even the first half, I thought he stood up for Tip. Noel was really good as well, but I think John McGrath is just hurling at a different level. Like I think he can go bananas this weekend if he wants, that kind of way.
6-1 for first goal scorer and man of the match.
Sorry, I'd say John McGrath man of the match. First goal scorer,
Okay.
I probably will say Canlan as well. I think Canlan is actually probably going to start full forward this week. He's going to look to get his kind of kickstart to his season. So I'd probably go Seamus Canlan at 11-2.
Lovely stuff. And for you, Aidan?
Yeah, very similar. I'm going to go with Noel McGrath for man of the match, John's brother. I thought he was very good the last day as well. He was nominated, I think, for man of the match there last weekend. In the first half, when Tipperary was struggling, he was to the fore. He was doing his bit for Tipperary. So Noel McGrath for man of the match. And I agree as well. Seamus Canlan, I think he's going to start him. I think he got a bit of game time under his belt last weekend, and I think he's going to try and make a statement. And I'd say Seamus Canlan for first goal.
Is there anything worse, Paddy Ahern, than when you back somebody for man of the match and they get into the final three and you're thinking to yourself, and you know what they do on the Sunday game? They tend to actually talk up the ones that are beaten to make you think that they're going to get them. And then Des goes to one of them and it says, who's your selection for man of the match? And then they pick the person that you least expect. Infuriating. But anyway, they were my man of the match moments from 2017. Moving on to Dublin v Offaly, 3 o'clock Sunday, and possibly the most important game of the weekend. Paddy Ahern, some prices on Dublin v Offaly, two teams fighting to keep their heads above water.
Yeah, definitely. Dublin are quite a short 1-7s, 14-1 the draw. Offaly are 5-1. Dublin -7, 10-11. Handicap draw is 11-1. Offaly +7 even money.
And all we want from you, Paddy Ahern, now is a prediction.
Yeah, I think Offaly can stay within it. I know Shane Kelly's going to be lost. I think last week there was a kind of a quick kind of a thing with Offaly that I don't think they actually thought that they'd be targeting this game more than the Wexford game. So I think they can stay. There's an 8-point handicap around it. They can stay within that, I think.
Lovely stuff. So Offaly +8 for Paddy Ahern. For you, Aidan Fogarty?
Yeah, well, I think, look, Offaly last weekend, I think they kind of thrown in the towel at times. The three guys got sent off. I'm going to go with Dublin. It's in Parnell Park. Dublin only fell short to Kilkenny by 2 points. Barely fell short to Wexford as well, 2 points. So they're not too far off the mark. So I'm going to go with Dublin for a win on that one.
Okay, so Dublin -8 for Aidan Fogarty. So I get the casting vote here, and I'm going to side with you, Paddy. I think Offaly might be able to keep within that handicap. So now it's time for the best bets of the weekend. And that the 2-point handicap could be obliterated. Jesus Christ, I hate that clip. Okay, I'm going to get the ball rolling, and I'm going to go for Wexford to lead Galway at half-time at 15-8 with Paddy Power. Paddy Ahern, your best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Limerick +2. There's still a bit of odds against around that. It's going to be a tight game. I think they can come out the right side with it, so Limerick +2. Lovely.
Limerick +2 for Paddy Ahern, and for Aidan Fogarty.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a kind of a treble here, guys. So I think Galway on the handicap. I think Dublin on the handicap. And I think there's a bet out there for 51.5 points to be scored in the Cork-Limerick game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both sets of forwards are very good. So I'd be going on a treble there on that.
Okay, so we'll talk us through that again. So over 51.5 points in Cork v Limerick. We've got Dublin to beat the handicap against Offaly, and your other one was?
Galway to beat the handicap in Wexford.
Galway to beat the handicap.
I think Galway -3, is that right?
Yeah, they're 3 points. They're odds on and 3 points, yeah.
Okay, lovely stuff. So we're talking for about a 7-1 treble there. Very ambitious from Aidan Fogarty. Lovely stuff. My thanks to Kilkenny legend Aidan Fogarty for all his vital information on this weekend's hurling action, and thanks to Paddy Ahern too. He'll be staying with us in part 2, where we will be joined by former Meath attacking ace Joe Sheridan.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to part 2 of the GAA Postcast with me, David Jennings. We are once again joined by Paddy Ahern from our sponsors, Paddy Power. And we've got Joe Sheridan, the former Meath attacker, on the line as well. And Joe, unfortunately last week technology got the better of us and you were unable to join us. But I hear you've got some rotten news for your hordes of followers, because your nap last weekend, if you had been on the show, was...
Cork to beat Tipperary at 11-10.
Do we believe him, lads? Paddy, are we going to believe that?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. He's a man of his word, we'll give it him.
Yeah, he's a Meath man. We don't tell any lies. And obviously, let's hope you backed it anyway, Joe. And in fairness to Cork, it's the first time we've seen a proper Cork performance in a long time.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I just been looking at it and the form and just the way things have changed. It was more about Tipperary coming up against Cork, psychological battle, and no matter how teams are going, sometimes when it comes to sort of, the Munster Championship, Cork will always probably have, an upper hand when it comes to Tipperary. And just a couple of days before I changed my mind, I know I tipped Tipperary at the beginning of the year, but a couple of weeks ago, but I just for some reason my mind was changed. I just thought Cork, they were due one and they're getting a lot of knocking, and they're not a bad team. They just haven't performed as well as they probably should have, and that's why I had them down as my nap. And unfortunately, we'll have to just suck it up and try and get on with it and go again this week.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, viewers and listeners did not get a chance to hear Joe Sheridan's nap. But this weekend, we have got the Ulster Football Championship semi-final between Fermanagh and Monaghan. It's live on RTE at 2 o'clock on Sunday. And Paddy Ahern, can we get some price and handicaps, please?
Yeah, we're 1-5 Monaghan, 12-1 the draw. Fermanagh 4-1. Monaghan -5, 10-11. Handicap draw 10-1. Fermanagh +5 even money.
Well, Joe, we all know, and we spoke about it last weekend, myself and Damien, about the disappointing Tyrone performance in the first round of the Ulster Championship. But Monaghan certainly came good. And are we now talking about Monaghan as realistic All-Ireland contenders and certainly Ulster contenders?
Yeah, I think the way they dispatched Tyrone was pretty impressive. Like when you look back at the game, and Monaghan they were probably the better team for most games. I know Tyrone are struggling with a number of injuries and players aren't probably 100% fit. They probably were playing to Meade's hands in the qualifiers, hopefully. But Monaghan, when you look at it, like Tyrone got the goal in the 76th minute, I think. So it was probably Monaghan by 5 points when you look at it realistically. They have been impressive, and when you look at the game, like they weren't over reliant on Conor McManus either. And that's what we'd be expecting from Monaghan over the last couple of years. He stepped up when they needed him in the last 10 or 15 minutes with some massive scores. But when you see, I think they had 10 scorers across the pitch, was very impressive. And I just didn't think they would have had Tyrone. So that was hugely impressive. Also, Rory Beggan, he offers us so much. The long range frees that he's gonna, he's probably nearly at 70 or 80% conversion rate at this stage, and that. But for most teams, you can't be giving away frees, inside 60 yards, which is pretty scary for your opposition. So when you're looking at it, Fermanagh beat a very bad Armagh team. Armagh have flattered to see for the last couple of years. They've been threatening with Kieran McGeeney there, and I just think, like when you look, there was no Cross McGlenn players there, and Fermanagh, I think just got lucky to get Fermanagh or get Armagh in the first round. And to be fair, they took their chance, and they're in an Ulster semi-final now, which is fantastic for them. But I just think Monaghan have too much across the pitch. Fermanagh they're probably not the fitness levels. Monaghan are one of the teams in the country that can probably match Dublin's fitness levels, which is scary. So I think it's going to be quite a comprehensive win for Monaghan this weekend, unfortunately for Monaghan.
So the way you're talking there, Joe, is you be on the Monaghan side of the handicap. You think they might win by 6 points or more?
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I was probably looking at a few different things. Probably Monaghan -7 at 8-5, or I expect a few goals in this game from Monaghan. I think they could go over the 2.5 goals, even at 2-1, which could be another thing. So there's not much value regarding sort of the match betting, but I think there's a couple of sneaky ones there that we could have a look at throughout the game.
Yeah, we like the sneaky ones. So it's Monaghan -7 at 8-5 for Joe Sheridan, and Monaghan over 2.5 goals at 2-1 as well for Joe. Paddy Ahern, is it possible that Monaghan put so much into that Ulster opener against Tyrone? Basically, their whole season revolved around that match. It was going to set the tone for the season. And now they're coming in against a Fermanagh side where they're no longer underdogs. The cat is out of the bag. Monaghan are All-Ireland contenders, according to some pundits. People are waxing lyrical about them. Is there a chance that Fermanagh could catch them on the hop here, given the way they're coming into the match?
I'm not so sure if Fermanagh are going to score enough to beat them. That would be my only kind of worry. But they will keep it very tight. Like I don't see Monaghan kind of going out of control and hammering them or anything like it. They beat them last year by I think it was 8 or 9 in Clonus. I think it was the first game of last year. But like that wouldn't be the same Fermanagh team. It's mostly the same personnel, bar maybe Seamus Quigley and that, but just the way that Fermanagh are playing this year, their outlook in the game, they're definitely a 3 or 4 points better team than they were last year. In their league forms, kind of proven that as well. Obviously, their first game against Armagh, I'd agree. Like I think BBC kind of had kind of a web coverage of that Armagh game, and Armagh were absolutely awful. It was an awful game in general, but you know, for manager it would have to be done. Like it was in the context of it, I thought it was an impressive enough win. The one problem with this is like we've had so many good football matches so far this year, and the two games, like Galway Mayo was inciting, but the first two games are going to be on telly is this and Galway Mayo, and there's going to be about a collective of about 32 points in 2 games. Like it's going to be an awful. I think it's going to be pretty low score, and I think it's going to be a fairly poor game. And I'd fancy Fermanagh to stay within the 5 or 6.
Okay, so we've got a complete contradiction here. Joe's going for 3 or more Monaghan goals, and Paddy thinks it's going to be fairly tight, and Fermanagh can keep within a 5-point handicap. I think Fermanagh might be a little bit underrated here. As Joe said, Monaghan probably have a touch of class and will probably come through, but Fermanagh +5 would be my vote as well. Man of the match and first goal scorer predictions from you chaps. Paddy Ahern, we'll come to you first.
Man of the match, yeah, it's kind of hard to look if it could be just down to a bit of McManus brilliance, so I'll probably just tip him for man of the match. He's one of those short ones that might
That's
be
a very
enough,
lazy
you know,
pick now, Paddy. That's the real
It
lazy.
is.
That's like I got up at 10 o'clock. I didn't even bother looking at the market, and I'm just going to go for Conor McManus because he's the best player.
No, it's one of those that you could see kind of. It's just a favourite that might be just that little bit too big a price. You know what I mean? If he goes out and if he does something like he did the last year, that score, and just in that second half in general, then he should kind of win it comfortably.
What price is he?
He is. We're 5-1.
Oh, that's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I mean, you'd see it'll be interesting to see what else is around there, and that could shorten as well close to the time, to be honest. Beggan would be the only one that everyone is kind of talking about him. If he did score 4 frees, then maybe, but I'd probably just side with McManus. For first goal, I don't think there's going to be that many chances, but one I've kind of tried to back the last couple of times. Carl O'Connell just comes from deep a lot. He actually gets a good few chances, good few of them he kind of fits over the bar and that kind of thing, but I think he could get a goal chance. He's going to be a big price as well. He's going to be kind of around the 33-1 mark, I'd say. Nothing
more infuriating, be it if I'm a goalkeeper or a punter backing a first goal scorer, when they're clean through 1-on-1 and they take the easy option and fist it over the bar, and everybody goes, he took the right option, he was right to fist it over the bar. He was not. Have a shot, have the balls to have a shot. What price is no goal scorer, Paddy, in this one?
No goal scorer, 7-2 in it.
Okay, that's interesting. Joe, your man of the match and first goal scorer prediction?
Yeah, I completely agree about the fisting over the bar.
You never would have done that.
Yeah, never. Even if I'm 30 yards out and have no hope of scoring a goal, go for goal. So
yeah, that's what we like.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same wavelength as Paddy there with McManus for man of the match. There's probably no one in the Fermanagh team that can get near him and be able to mark him. They might double up on him and maybe try and give him a bit of a rough ride. I have literally Rory Beggan down as well. If he kicks 4 points from play, 4 or 5 points, you know he's going to be up there as well. But I think
can guarantee he won't be kicking 4 points from play anyway.
Well, no.
Probably from frees.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. So I go with Conor McManus, and for first goal scorer, I'd be looking at your man Vinnie Corey at 65. Done well last week to get a goal, so he could be up there in the reckoning. But I think Jack McCarron, he's a goal scorer. McManus will kick frees and kick points all day. He's not really a deadly goal scorer as such, and he'd take his point before he'd take his goal. So Jack McCarron, I'd be looking at 13-2. He's a deadly eye for goal, and if he can get in close enough into the full forward line, come off McManus as someone in the full forward line off Kieran Hughes, I see Jack McCarron have a good chance at 13-2.
Beautiful. Moving on to the Munster Football Championship, and it is the Kingdom Kerry who welcome Clare. And Paddy Ahern, some prices and handicaps and the match selection. We're going to rattle through this one.
Yeah, it's 1-20 Kerry, 20-1 the draw, 8-1 Clare. Kerry -8, 10-11, 11-1 draw, Clare +8 at even money. Yeah, I just think that if this Kerry defence is anything like it was in the league, it's going to be very, very leaky, and I think Clare can kind of score. So I think Clare are going to put up a decent score here. I wouldn't be surprised to see them beat the 8. It's not one I'd be really strongly keen on, but I just think Clare are going to score too much for Kerry to pull away and hammer them.
Okay, so Clare +8. At what price is that, Paddy?
It's even money.
Even money, Clare +8 for Paddy Ahern. Joe Sheridan, Kerry v Clare, your thoughts?
Yeah, as Paddy was saying, Kerry aren't going to run. Clare are a decent team, have a few very good players, and they're coached very well, and they will be able to hold Kerry out for a certain amount of time. But I just think Kerry's forwards are just too classy. I'm really looking forward to seeing David Clifford in action in his first championship game. I can see him actually, if he gets the space, he can get man of the match and score the first goal. That's what I'm looking at for this game. What I do see as a best bet is probably Kerry to score from play at 5-4. First to score from play. I think first 10 to 15 minutes they'll rip into them. The defence has been a talking point for Kerry and inside Kerry for the last year or two, and if they can sort that out, they probably will concede and they'll probably improve as the championship goes on. But I can see Kerry winning this by sort of 5 or 6 points.
Okie doke. So your best bet is Kerry, the first score of the game to be a Kerry point from play.
Yeah, I think it's 5-4, something like that.
Yeah, that's a nice one because your misery is over early. You don't have to wait for 70 minutes. It's over within 30 seconds. It's like a greyhound race. So Kerry to get the first goals, to get the first score from play at 5-4 for Joe Sheridan. And the other match we're going to look at this weekend is Galway v Sligo. Your beloved Galway, Joe, up against Sligo in the Connacht Football Championship. And Paddy Ahern, I'm presuming this is all one-way traffic on the betting front.
Yeah, it's 1-16 Galway, 20-1 draw, and Sligo 15-2. Galway -8 at 10-11. Sligo +8 even money.
Paddy Ahern, Galway by how much?
Yeah, Galway will win. I wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of land around the handicap mark. Sligo beat Mayo in a challenge, I believe, in the last couple of weeks. I don't know how much that's saying about Mayo or Sligo, but they were people thought they were vulnerable going over to London. They still came back with a 10 points win. These are the kind of games that Galway can be a little bit complacent in if you actually look back at Kevin Walsh's record. They're really good at getting up for massive games, and then these ones, they'll win them, but they mightn't be as convincing as people might think. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sligo cover it all.
Okay, so Sligo to cover. What was the handicap again?
8.
So Sligo +8 for Paddy Ahern. Joe, I know you are the founding member of the Galway fan club and certainly the founding member of the Kevin Walsh fan club. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, it's going to be one-way traffic. I think Sligo, they had a very average league campaign in Division 3 and I think finished 5th or 6th in the standings. Galway, that first game against Mayo is going to do them a world of good. They're only going to improve. I think that defensive setup for Sligo, I don't think Sligo are going to get anywhere near them. They might probably kick 8 or 9 points, and I can see Galway putting up quite a big score with their forwards inside. I think that they're only getting loosened up for this game, and I'm there's not much value in the prices. Even Galway -6 is 2-1 on. So yeah, all I can say is that Galway will win. It could be 10, it could be 12. I'm not too sure. So anyway, Galway between 10 and 12 points at 4-1 maybe or something like that. That's what I'd be looking at.
Very interesting. Yeah, nice price because as you say, if they are to win comfortably, it is a bet like that, a winning margin bet that you like to have on your site. So Galway to win by 10, 11 or 12 points at 4-1 with Paddy Power for Joe Sheridan. So lads, it's time for the best bets of the weekend on the football front, and Paddy, we'll come to you first.
Yeah, there's odds against them for Fermanagh +6. I think they're capable of keeping it that tight. So yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to do, Paddy? I'm going to back you up there. I'm going to go, I've spotted that for Fermanagh +6 odds against as well, and I think that is great value. Joe Sheridan, your best bet of the weekend?
Well, I'm going completely the opposite, lads. I'm going Monaghan -7 at 8-5. That's my nap for the weekend, and hopefully we can keep it going after last weekend.
Yeah, you know what will happen now? Monaghan will win by 7 and none of us will win. That is just exactly what's going to happen. All listeners in the country are getting on Monaghan to win by exactly 7 points now, so they are. So that's it for this week's show, folks. My thanks to Joe Sheridan and to Aidan Fogarty, who joined us in part 1, and to Paddy Ahern, who was with us for the duration of the show. I've been David Jennings from the Racing Post. Don't forget to tune in to our Oak Special podcast, which will be out later this afternoon. And if you enjoyed listening to this postcast, which I'm sure you did, please rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.